Hello and welcome to our 10th episode of the Roofless Dog and Pony Show. My name is Julio and I am the dream alchemist at Roofless Painters, and I'm going to be the host of this presentation. 10 episodes. So the Roofless Dog and Pony Show is a live unedited presentation featuring the conceptual and stylistic inspiration behind our painting webinars. What we do is introduce and present the theme of the next painting webinar, and we talk about the inspiration behind it, mentioning contemporary or modern art notes, art history references, and we add a bit of commentary. You can find the episodes on our Instagram account, and also we add them all in our YouTube channel, so you can watch them anytime. And if you have any questions, or if you want to add or contribute any comments or notes to this presentation, please let us know. So the next painting webinar is titled Bordered Up. I think I'm pronouncing it right. Boarded Up. It's our 34th painting series of 2020, and it's our 24th series since we started since we retreated into our homes and we started painting remotely. So why Border Up? Well, last week we were reading about art news, and we came across a very interesting initiative or performance project by an artist that goes by the name American Artist. That's the name of the artist, which is very clever because they purposely came up with a name that if you Google it, you will not find absolutely anything. So that's by the name they go by, American Artist. So this artist or group of artists, we don't know, they created a project in which in the website of the Whitney Museum in New York, every day at sunrise and sunset for 30 seconds, all the images in the website, they flip from regular paintings and photos of artwork into images of plywood boards. So everything for 30 seconds changes. The piece, it's called Looted. And we're not going to go into details of why. You can figure out that there's a very strong reason why the artist purposely boarded up, figuratively, the Whitney Museum. But we love the images of the boarded up artworks. This is what the website at the Whitney looks like during sunrise and sunset for 30 seconds. The background flips from white to black. The titles also change, and also the most important thing is that every single image in the website flips from to featuring the image of an artwork to featuring border up or boarded image. So the pieces literally get bordered up. Anyhow, so we like the idea of featuring border up windows on paintings as a way to document what the city went through, our city went through, every city really went through a few months ago. So in plein air, the subject always appeals to the beauty canons of the time. We paint pretty things, but it doesn't have to be this way. We can turn the table and make the invisible visible. And the bordered up windows that we still see when we walk around or we drive around. They have become part of our cityscape, and I think it's time we do something about it. So, as you know, in late May and early June of this year, people of all creeds poured into the streets despite the risk of death by viral contagion to protest the latest episode in the decades-long saga of police brutality. So what happened was that business started to board up. I'm going to have a hard time pronouncing this word. Their windows, and the scene was pretty sad. So we've been doing some research about that period of time, and then after a few weeks, some windows took the boards down. But the optics, in retrospect, the optics of the plywood boards, we feel like they could not have been any more disastrous. We feel like the shops reacted in fear, perhaps because of the collective PTSD scars from the last riots in LA. But there was something about the fencing act that was off this time. Panic of private property damage upstaged any kind of genuine support for the cries from the community the shops supposedly served. The look was of abandonment. The plywood became a symbol of distrust. And most stores, if you remember, failed to leave some sort of like courtesy notes on the plywood. It was just the wood, and that was it. The ones that did leave some notes, we feel like they did a really poor job. They just put Black Lives Matter in a piece of paper. They just put it on the board. So yeah, it was just bad. So the irony of all of this is that all the stores that went under, they permanently closed ever since the plywood walls went up. They did so because of the pandemic and not the quote-unquote riots. So we've been reading articles by retail analysts that talk about how that was a bad decision from the side of the shop owners. They say that there's going to be a small percentage of people that are not going to return to the shops when the boards come down because subconsciously they felt that was not right. So it's interesting because this small percentage of people that are not going to go in and shop because of what they did may be the percentage of people that ultimately bring down the shop altogether and cause the business to close. So yeah, we brought a few images, a few slides of examples, very few examples that came to our mind of artists that have dealt with this issue before. And the inspiration will be images of border up storefront windows. We are going to ask you to either walk around or drive around and take a photo of a window of a shop that has been or still covered in plywood, and that's going to be the subject of our paintings. And in that sense, I'm going to bring an image, the first image that came to mind for me. It's of an artist who passed away. I don't know if you can see that photo, but his name was Martin Wong. And he's not a really well-known artist, but he lived and worked in the San Francisco area. And he died of AIDS, and he did a lot of paintings of brick walls and abandoned buildings, closed shops. And when we decided to go or to propose this premise, we immediately thought of his work. This piece is called, or it's titled, Closed, and it's a closed shop. It looks like it's permanently closed. And if you don't know or haven't heard of the work of Martin Wong, a Chinese-American painter who lived towards the end of the 20th century, you should immediately check out his work because it's amazing. This is another painting by him. I don't have the title of this painting, but also an example of what this subject matter could look like visually and translated in a painting. Another artist that reminded us or inspired us or we thought of when we thought of like closed abandoned shop windows or shops is Felix Newsbomb. One of our favorite artists, Phyllis Nosebaum, lived and worked in the beginning in the 1930s, 20s and 30s. His story is very sad. He didn't survive the Holocaust. He was Jewish, and but he left a body of work that it's very powerful and speaks of the social angst and political chaos of the time before and after. Yeah, the Second World War, before the Second World War, obviously. Anyhow, so this piece, this piece is titled. We chose this piece because on the right side, right there, you can see a window that looks like it's abandoned, and also it's at the beginnings of being boarded up, if that is such a thing. Oregon Man. It was done in 1943, so yes, before and after the war. I wasn't incorrect. So this is the street, one of the streets that he lived in with his girlfriend. There's an organ at the bottom of the painting that's made out of bones. Anything on the painting except from his portrait is dead. And the only things that are alive are himself and a fly. I don't know if you can see it. It's right at the bottom, a fly that it's on the organ. So we chose this image as an inspiration because it's an abandoned street, and we connected with the feeling of walking in our streets during the protest in early June, and have that feeling when all the shops were boarded up and abandoned, literally abandoned. So this has a similar ethos in completely different circumstances, and it's possibly not the best example of a plein air painting of a building that's been closed, but yeah, we thought it would be a good inspiration. This is by a British artist. His name is Andrew Mcintosh. He's a contemporary artist, and he did a series of paintings of buildings and shop windows that are completely boarded up, and some of them he imagined or reenacted the building with a gallery, like an art gallery setting, so which is very interesting. We love the fact that he chose this frontal view, a little bit pulled back of the entire building, and the border up front window, the shop window. This is another. This is a formal plein air painting by an artist named Deke Palesek. The title is Alley Blues. And it's a painting of a building with windows boarded up. And the final piece that we have, we have another Martin Wong that I forgot. It's not a boarded up shop window, but it's a window. I mean, it's a view of a building that seems abandoned, and you can barely tell. Maybe when you replay this without the comments, you will see this. There are two firemen that are kissing at the bottom of the painting. So we love this social realism and also the political activism in this painting. And finally, I think that's all we got. I'm just gonna end up this presentation. Perfect timing. End up this presentation with Martin Wong's Martin Wong's painting closed. So again, we are asking anyone who wants to participate in this painting webinar to go around our neighborhoods and see the state of affairs and how the impact of the pandemic really affected the economy of our community, and the visual reflection of that is still some windows that are boarded up. Some businesses didn't survive, and so it could be an up-close image. It could be also an image of a for lease sign. It doesn't have to be a plywood window or a plywood covered window, but yeah, the idea is to just use an image of a closed window, with the intent of reflect the poor. We strongly believe this: the poor choice by the businesses to rush to board up their stores. Not because of the pandemic, some of them they did because of it, but because of the Black Lives Matter protest. I don't want to call them riots, protest. There was some damage to property. There was some damage, and that was wrong. And we condemned that damage. if someone's watching this, but. Yeah, it didn't justify the fact that the businesses abandoned the community, and so the plywood was a reflection of their lack of communication and their decision based on fear, and ultimately what decimated the buildings was not the consequence of the marches or the protest, the peaceful protest, majority peaceful protest, but it was the effects of the pandemic that we will see and feel for years to come. So join us. The webinar is this Friday at 11 a.m. It doesn't matter what kind of level of experience you may have with painting. It doesn't matter what kind of medium you use. It doesn't matter if you want to paint or not. So we welcome any level, and the webinar is 2 hours, and we expand another another hour. We provide critique, support, a shared image folder, feedback, a post-webinar colloquium session, and a lot more, including the fact that we put the paintings for sale in our website in order to support ourselves meaning our community. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed the presentation. Thank you so much, and I'm gonna end right now.